Let me tell you something wild about your retirement savings portfolio that most people completely overlook, and you've been diligently maxing out your traditional 401ks, your IRAs for years, right? And you're thinking about the future is bright and all is good, but here's a shocker. You might be sitting on a tax time bomb with too much money in traditional accounts and not enough in your Roth IRA. The thing is, every dollar you convert to a Roth IRA now is one less dollar subject to potentially higher taxes in the future. Now, let's say you've decided to make Roth IRA conversions. Just when exactly is the best time to convert to a Roth IRA? But before we get into the when, let's talk about how it works. And when you convert money from a traditional IRA, traditional 401k, traditional TSP, or traditional 403b into a Roth IRA, you pay taxes now so you don't have to later on. It sounds simple enough, right? Well, here's the catch. If you make a Roth conversion in 2025, you'll owe taxes on it by April 2026. So don't go converting half your 401k and then act surprised when the IRS sends you a love letter next year. And basically, every dollar you convert gets added to your taxable income for the year, meaning you'll owe federal and possibly state taxes when you file. So if your W-2 income is $75,000 in 2025 as a single individual with a standard deduction of $15,000, your taxable income is going to be $60,000. And that puts you in the federal marginal tax rate at 22%. And keep in mind that I'm not including the state income tax in this scenario. So if you convert $30,000 from your 401k to your Roth IRA, then your taxable income is now going to be increased from $60,000 to $90,000 because that $30,000 is considered taxable income. So you're going to need to set aside 22% of that $30,000 you're converting, which is $6,600 in your high yield savings account or some kind of a cash savings account. Again, this does not include the state income tax. You need to be very aware of where you are in the tax brackets because if you convert too much, you might end up in the higher tax category. So if you're thinking about converting, just make sure you're ready for the tax bill. You also don't want the 401k broker to hold the taxes for you. You want to start setting aside some cash in a savings account and make the payment yourself because the whole point of the Roth conversion is so that your dollars can grow tax-free in the Roth IRA. If you have them withhold the taxes on your behalf, you're going to end up losing $6,600 in the Roth IRA using the previous scenario that could have grown for you tax-free. That makes sense so far, right? Another thing to remember is that you got to be at least 59.5 to take the Roth IRA conversion out without a penalty. And that's not just the earnings, but the conversion itself. So if you're younger than that and you withdraw too soon, the IRS will smack you with a 10% penalty. And honestly, you don't want that smoke. But here's the kicker that'll make you want to pull your hair out because these rules are so unnecessary. The 5-year rule for earnings is still hanging around like that one relative who will not leave your holiday party. So even if you're feeling all confident, you could still owe taxes on the earnings portion of your withdrawal. Now, I know what you're thinking. How on earth do I keep track of all of this? Well, the IRS has created a withdrawal order that the broker in charge of your IRA has to follow. They start by assuming you're taking out contributions, which are tax and penalty free, and then they move to converted amounts, starting with the oldest conversion first. Only after you've drained every last drop of those converted funds do they consider an earnings withdrawal. It's like a financial game of Jenga where one wrong move could make your entire tax strategy fail. So why do the Roth conversions at all? And I mean, it all seems pretty confusing, right? And some of you might just be tempted to ignore it and hope for the best. But let me tell you this. If you have a huge tax deferred balance and let all your retirement savings sitting in a traditional IRA, traditional 401k, traditional 403b, or traditional TSP, you're basically setting yourself up for an RMD nightmare and like a tax horror movie you didn't sign up for. And RMD stands for required minimum distributions because once you hit age 73 or 75, depending on when you were born, the IRS forces you to start withdrawing and paying taxes, whether you need the money or not. And the more you have in traditional accounts, the bigger your RMDs are going to be, which could push you into a higher tax bracket and even hike up your Medicare premiums if you decide to enroll in Medicare at the age of 65. That's why you might need to have a Roth conversion strategy because this will help you shrink those future RMDs and give you more control over your retirement income and have fewer surprise tax bills. Do you always need to make the Roth conversion? Not necessarily. Your personal finance is personal for a reason. You can always schedule a consultation with me by visiting firesignature.com/consultation to figure out your finances. Now, let's talk about the when. What would you say if I told you that one of the best times to make a Roth IRA conversion is when the market is down? And let's say you're invested in heavily in Nvidia and Tesla all these years, but these tech stocks just suddenly take a hit in 2025. This is when the Roth IRA works its magic. So converting assets when their value is lower means you're paying taxes on a smaller amount. So for example, let's say you have the S&P 500 index mutual fund in your 401k. At the end of 2024, you have $50,000 invested in that mutual fund. But let's say that the market is down by 10% as of April 2025. Then the mutual fund is down from 50,000 to 45,000, right? And let's also assume that your marginal tax rate is at 22%. If you had converted $50,000, the taxes you would have owed is $11,000 if your marginal tax rate is at 22%. But because the value is down to 45,000 due to the down market, you're only going to owe $9,900 on taxes, saving you about $1,100 in total taxes. And by the time that money is in your Roth IRA, the market might already be on the recovery, and all that growth that happens inside your Roth IRA becomes completely tax-free. So let's say that $45,000 that you converted to your Roth IRA recovered to $50,000. Then that $5,000 in your Roth IRA grew tax-free. That makes sense so far, right? It's like getting front row seats to the stock market's comeback show, but without the VIP tax bill later on. This is why I pay attention to the economic conditions and the stock market performances, because I have pre-tax assets in the 401k and TSP when I served on active duty that I want to convert eventually. And I did the conversion in 2022 when the market was down as much as 24 to 30% in a single year, and saving me tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. And I post stock market and economic alerts in my private group, and you can always join my private group by visiting firesignature.com/community, and you can cancel your membership at any time with no penalty. And if you're having a low income year, this might be a good time for you to make Roth conversions. Why? Because lower income means lower tax rates, and converting now lets you pay less in taxes while shifting money into a tax-free account. And again, you want to pay attention to the marginal tax rates. Your marginal tax rate could be lowered from 32 to 24%, and that's saving you 8% in taxes. What if you're retired and your retirement income is now at a 12% marginal tax rate instead of 22% when you were still employed? These are the things that you want to consider. And the other scenario that your income tax could be lowered is if you move from one state to another. And I don't know how you live in California and New York, but you guys pay some of the highest state income taxes in the entire country. But if you move to a state like Nevada and Tennessee, Florida, or some other state with no income tax, you could be saving a significant amount of money when you make the Roth IRA conversion. Now, here's another thing you need to know. The years between early retirement and when you start collecting Social Security are like a golden tax planning window. If your income is lower, which means you have no paycheck and no Social Security yet, you're likely in a lower tax bracket. If this is the case, then it's the perfect time to convert some of your traditional retirement funds into a Roth IRA at a lower tax rate. Because at the time I'm recording this video, Social Security is still considered a taxable income unless Congress passes TCJA and makes Social Security a tax-free income, then this scenario no longer applies. Now, if you're a self-employed individual running a business and it takes a hit on your bottom line in 2025, or you rack up some big business deductions, your taxable income could drop significantly. And that, my friend, is another prime opportunity for a Roth conversion. And since you're already reporting lower income, converting traditional retirement funds means you could pay little to no extra tax on the conversion. And the current TCJA expires in 2025, but I'm expecting Congress to pass TCJA 2.0 by September, if not sooner. What I want you to pay attention to is what's in the bill and how it's going to affect you. I made a video about the tax proposals last week, so I'll put that link in the description below so you can check it out after watching this video. And I'll also make sure to keep you guys posted about anything else Congress proposes, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't done it already. I've always done Roth for myself because I want to have control of my tax-free account and not have to worry about the required minimum distributions in the future when I don't know what the future tax rates are going to be like. Now, the other scenario is if you're going through a divorce, and it isn't just emotionally draining, it can also be a financial curveball, especially when it comes to taxes. And trust me, I've been divorced once, many years ago. What do I mean by this? If you're transitioning from married filing jointly to single, your tax bracket will shift and you'll end up paying more in taxes on the same income. And this is not exactly the parting gift you asked for, right? So if a divorce is on the horizon, a Roth conversion before the split should make sense. While you're still filing jointly, you might have access to lower tax rates, meaning you can convert more to a Roth at a cheaper tax cost. But once you're filing single, those same conversions might push you into a higher tax bracket. But if you want to be sure that you're making the right moves, feel free to schedule a consultation with me at 568.com/consultation, and I'll walk you through the process step by step. Now, of course, you've been working hard for your family, and it only makes sense that you'll want to leave them something that can help secure their future. And in this case, a Roth IRA can make it happen. So unlike traditional retirement accounts, which leaves your heirs with a tax bill when they inherit the money, Roth IRAs pass on tax-free. And that means they get to keep every single penny, no IRS grab. Think of it this way. Would you rather leave them a generous gift or a complicated tax situation that makes them question your financial planning skills? It's a no-brainer, right? A Roth IRA is like handing them an all-expense pay trip to financial security with no strings attached. And I'm not by any means saying that you have to pass them down the Roth IRA, but it is one of those nice gifts and your kids could enjoy. So listen, I know taxes and retirement planning can feel overwhelming, and it's like reading the terms and conditions before you agree to do something, but you didn't really read them. But here's the thing, right? You have the power to make smart moves today that your future self and maybe even your heirs will thank you for. Some people don't want to pass anything down, and there's nothing wrong with that. A Roth IRA conversion isn't just about numbers on the spreadsheet. It's about freedom in the future. Freedom from surprise tax bills, and freedom from higher RMDs draining your accounts, and freedom to pass down real wealth without Uncle Sam standing in the way. But not all Roth conversions make sense, so before you do it, make sure to review your most recent tax statement and your most recent pay stub to understand your income and what your future income looks like with all of your investment vehicles. And this has been another beast of a video, and I hope you got a lot out of it.